and welcome to This Album with me. It's William Hann. It's the podcast where each episode a guest and I will deep dive an album of their choice. Could be any artist, any genre, it could be any year. And we are gonna discuss the songs, we're gonna discuss the shows, we are gonna discuss the artwork. But what I really want to know is where my guest first heard the album of choice and the emotional attachment that they have to the record. Who knows? We might even have a bit of a laugh while doing it. Well, today, I'm joined by a team of grotesquely overpaid lawyers who specialise in copyright and intellectual property law. And before we begin the podcast today, they've asked me to read the following statement. Any similarity between Enjoy an Album and this album with William Hann is purely coincidental. Themes of album discussion are widespread throughout podcasting and media in general, and any attempt to copyright a format within this genre would be unethical, unquantifiable, and frankly, redundant. We would also like to note that Enjoy an Album had concluded its run before this album with William Hann released its first episode, and as a result, any alleged stepping on toes is non-existent. Furthermore, there have been accusations that co-host of Enjoy an Album, Christopher McArthur-Boyd, bears a striking physical resemblance to William Hann. This allegation is to be stricken from the record. William is 6'5". He's ginger and an indie weasel. Mr. McArthur-Boyd is only 2 out of 3 of those things. So, with the cease and desist respectfully placed to one side, it is my honour to welcome a man who is not only one of the country's finest stand-up comedians, but also, without question, the best host of a comedic podcast about albums on the planet. It's Liam Withnail!
Hello, yeah. Yes. What an introduction. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries, mate.
I enjoyed that a lot. I very much see more, rather than it be any kind of stepping on toes, you know, as you say, we rounded up. We rounded up just as you started. So I see it as a sort of spiritual passing of the baton.
Passing of the baton, yeah, thank you. It was warmly received.
The journey continues.
The net was open.
Yeah, absolutely. We are chatting about a sort of small run of episodes. So we may have some friendly competition. But you know, actually you want that. You don't want a monopoly.
Sure.
This is the argument for
we're in a post-capitalism world, right?
Absolutely. So like we both need to exist and push each other on.
There we go. Well, consider me firmly shoved. So maybe we'll start there then, Liam. I normally ask guests about who they are and what they do. Let's start with that part of your life, please.
Who am I? What do I do? My name's Liam. I'm a stand-up comedian. I live in Edinburgh, Scotland. I'm from Dagenham, Essex.
Yes, you are.
I do a lot of stuff about music as well. So I had the Enjoy an Album podcast, which ran for a number of years with aforementioned indie weasel Christopher McArthur-Boyd. And so I tend to mainly write stand-up shows and tour them.
Yes.
Is my main thing. And I, do regular stand-up gigs the rest of the time, small spots. So I'm kind of, at the moment, at an in-betweeny stage. I just finished a tour of my last show, and I'm probably not going to do another show until next year. So this is just like my year of rest and relaxation, which is still busy with work stuff.
Yes.
But I'm not in the midst of a project at the moment, which is the best time to meet me, I think.
So does that mean you're writing at the moment? How does that work for you?
No, some people do that. They finish a show and then they go straight into another one, or they're always writing. I give my brain a break. Okay. I go, I'm not writing anything for, at least 6 months, 8 months, and I'm just gigging and I'm just enjoying life again. Because when you're writing a show, or when I'm writing a show, it really does take up every part of my brain. Yeah. And so I can compare albums listened to, or movies watched, or TV shows watched, or books read on show years versus not show years, and it just shrinks. I saw maybe 4 films last year, and then this year I watched 50 odd. So I think for me, I need to go out and see some culture and watch stuff and live a bit of goddamn life before I can write a show. So this is the very fun bit. It's like the no pressure bit, but there is that thing at the back of my head going, Probably do need to make something though soon, you know, that pressure. But so at the moment I'm just vibing is the short answer.
Doing it well, may I say. Vibing well, Liam. So I'm curious then, when these gigs you're doing, if it's not like a tour show, what sort of material are you performing?
It really depends on the night. So I'm down for London. I'm doing a gig, and it's a 15-minute spot. And
At a great venue, mate.
At the Soho Theatre, Walthamstow. Lovely, beautiful old Art Deco theatre. And I guess I'll just think about, like, it will be material from my previous shows, basically. So it will be whatever I think works best in Walthamstow on a Saturday night. So
you've got some real niche pieces in your armour, have you?
It will basically just but that's just what it's going to be. Woke millennials, right? It's going to be the
no shortage of them about, Liam.
Yeah. That's going to be the target demo. It's going to be a Walthamstow, like it's going to be people with men with little earrings,
right?
Who call people my guy. Is going to be the majority of that.
A lot of baristas and graphic designers.
People who queue at Gale's Bakery.
Understood. Yeah.
And you know, if I lived here, I probably would be one of them myself. So I definitely have enough in my old library to entertain them. I think that's
understood.
Yeah. But then if I'm in, you know, Stoke on a Friday night in a rugby club, then I don't think I would do the same material.
You can't be so woke.
But well, you know, you never know. I'm sure there are woke people in Stoke, but I tend not to do much Stoke rugby clubs anymore these days anyway. So it depends on the night. Sometimes you turn up and you have a plan and you get there and, you know, you watch a bit of the show and the crowd aren't really going for maybe like more adult stuff or more clever stuff. So you can sometimes you have to change it on the fly. Sometimes you have to change it when you're on stage.
Sure.
Because you start a bit and you go, oh, this isn't going the way that it normally does. I need to try something else here and mix it up a bit. That obviously never actually happens to me. It always goes very well. But but to other people. Yeah.
Sure. Well, I don't believe you, so give me some horror stories of when it's gone badly, please, Liam. Let's dig up some trauma.
Yeah, okay. When's the last really bad gig I had? I know exactly where it was. It was the late show at Liverpool Hot Water about 2 years ago.
Tough gig, I've always heard, Liverpool, because everyone's funnier than you, right?
Yeah, that's the kind of that's what people. That was what I was expecting. I have played there a lot, and I've always had really good shows. Hot Water is like the venue is really well set up.
Yeah, I'm desperate to get there,
and they have a lot of like. They just do very well. The rooms are full. People are up for it. There was just something about this late show where they just were not buying what I was selling that day. And that sometimes happens.
Yeah, sure.
You can always tell, like, sometimes you speak to comics and they'll tell you about a death and it'll be like, oh, you know, there was a TV behind me and the football was playing and no one knew comedy was on.
Right, yeah.
And there was like a man screaming in the corner. And I kind of think, well, that's not really a death. That's not. You can't really do anything about that, right?
Yeah.
For me, a real bad gig is when you're on a bill and all the other acts do well, and then you do badly, and it's like, oh no, it's something personal about me, and so that's what happened that night in Hot Water. I was in the middle. It was a late show, to be fair, which does add a little bit of like. Sometimes those gigs, they're not rowdy. Rowdy is fine, but they're kind of like a sleepy drunk kind of. Like it's 11:30 and they're kind of committed to going out, and they're just sat there and they've been drinking probably since 6 o'clock in the afternoon, and they're like, just like that, and that's what it felt like, and they just didn't go for it, which, you know, that happens sometimes. To every comedian, it happens sometimes. And I walked off stage and I walked out of the venue and I'd already had dinner, but I don't drink and I needed a way to sort of punish myself. So I was pretty full from dinner and I walked straight to a chip shop and I had a full second like dinner, a massive fish and chips, just to feel something, you know? And what I felt was sick. I felt sick in Liverpool at midnight. Eating a dirty fish and chips on my own. So that was the last real bad gin.
Really sorry I asked you that question, Liam.
It's okay.
It's bang out of order.
It's a funny opening question.
Well, let's see how the rest of this interrogation goes, shall we? I really like your podcast you used to do, Liam. Tell me a bit about Enjoy an Album, please.
So me and Christopher MacArthur Boyd, I mean, we've been friends since I started stand-up before him. And then he started, and he was in Glasgow, I was in Edinburgh, and I remember someone saying, have you seen this guy, Christopher MacArthur Boyd? He's kind of like the Glasgow you, right? And then we met, and yeah, we had a lot in common, and we got on straight away. And it was during COVID that we chatted about the idea of doing a podcast together. So we did a pilot of one, and it was going to be, this is just a just talking podcast. It's just, I don't know if anyone's ever done that before, but it's just like two comedians just chatting about nothing.
I see a gap in the market here.
It's a unique idea that I think is currently untouched. Anyway, we tried it and we listened back and was kind of like, it's fine, but it didn't feel like it had anything. And then we had this idea of Rolling Stone magazine do their top 500 albums of all time.
Yeah.
And so we thought, well, I think we just need a bit of a format to hang this on. So we decided to work our way through that backwards, listen to an album every week, do a deep dive, and use that as a jumping off point for just also chatting about our own lives and stupid shit. So we started that weekly. I think we did about 100 of the albums, but we felt somewhat restricted by the Rolling Stone list. It was like very American heavy and also a bit too country music heavy. And we wanted to just expand a bit and be able to talk about whatever we wanted. So then we expanded and started talking about whatever we wanted, which meant that we could cover albums that had just been released or were in the news, or if an artist was in the news or something, we could jump in on them, and it gave us a lot more freedom, and we loved doing it. We did some live shows, really fun. We had a sort of Patreon with a lot of people on it who liked the podcast, and it just got to a point now where from doing this, listening to an album and doing a deep dive on it is a big project.
It is.
And we, with the Patreon, we were doing basically two of these a week, and it ended up being just a bit too much work for what we were able to do. We're both touring stand-up comedians, and we were just, scheduling was really hard. So we went on a hiatus, we went on a little break, and that break has lasted 24 months. So it's not over, it's still there on the back burner. As I said, we may return, I think, soon for a sort of mini series, but we still message each other all the time about music, and we still know what's going on. And every Friday, just like new release day, we're normally like sending each other like what we've enjoyed that day. And we did bring it back for a brief. We did 2 episodes at Christmas, a sort of end of the year special, and there'll be more to come from it. But I loved doing it. There's so many albums that like I would never have listened to that I loved. And
you've done some stinkers as well, though, right?
Yeah, of course.
Man, you covered some shit on there.
Yeah, I would have to go through the list. I've tried to.
There was Insane Clown Posse, which definitely stood out.
That was my least favourite, I think. And what annoyed me about it is that Christopher could tell I hated it, and I think pretended to like it more than he did. He'll get annoyed at me saying this. Sorry, Chris, I'm sure you don't pretend to like things that you do. But Christopher liked it, basically, and I didn't, which annoyed me more because it's aged so badly. The Insane Clown Posse, for anyone who doesn't know, they're like... they're rappers. They do sort of something called like circus themed rap whilst dressed as clowns, and it's bad. It's bad.
I had a client at this hotel that I work at, and they do a big horror movie convention,
right?
And these are comic book guys.
Yep.
They are horror movie guys. They're also juggalos.
Yep.
And I didn't realize juggalo movement is like a genre in itself. I just thought Insane Clown Posse's fans were called juggalos. There's a whole world around it and loads of other acts.
Yeah, and they go and have big meetups.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's all. And I have to say, what we found out in the episode, I think the juggalos themselves they seem like a very sweet natured guys. Yeah, they seem fine. There's nothing like, obviously they've got the clown makeup and everything. You're kind of a bit like, what is this? But from what I could tell, they seem cool.
Okay.
But the music is bad.
What's the moral to that? There's got to be something in that, hasn't there? I mean, finding your tribe is a positive thing, but is a bad soundtrack to it worth the sacrifice? I don't know. That's not for me to say, Liam.
Well, I think that was very beautiful, actually.
There you go. We stumbled upon that one perfectly. So tell me a bit about your sort of musical coming of age and, how you found yourself so into music, Liam.
I would say up until the age of like 15, I didn't really care about music. There was a brief period, probably when I was sort of 12, 13, when I got into like what we would now call emo music, but it wasn't really called that at the time. That was like pre that label, or like pop punk. I guess I was into at that point as well. And I had a few friends that liked it, and so we were into Linkin Park and bands like that. But I was kind of into it, but it wasn't a huge part of my life. I liked the Red Hot Chili Peppers, right? I guess I was a pretty basic bitch, you would say, right?
You were 14 in your defence.
Yeah, right. And then I was in Brighton visiting my brother with my best friend at the time. His name's Pat, who still is a very good friend of mine.
Want to shout out to Pat?
Shout out Pat. Big up Patrick.
I have that.
Lovely man.
Nice. Nicely done.
He handed me his Microsoft Zune.
Sorry, I don't know what that is, Liam.
Was
it there an MP3 player?
Yes,
right.
It was their rival to the iPod.
Right.
The Microsoft Zune. It was
ZOON.
ZUNE, I believe.
Fuck me.
Zune like Dune.
Right.
And he said you should listen to this. And I put the earphones in, and the song I listened to was Street Spirit by Radiohead. And I was like, what the fuck is this? And I went home and I went onto LimeWire and I downloaded...
As was the fashion at the time.
LimeWire and Zune. And I downloaded like their discography. But I've always been someone who, when I like a band or anything really, like a film or a book, if I really like something, I also want to find out, well, the person who made this, what do they really like? Like, what are their influences?
But how would you find that sort of stuff out in a sort of pre-proper internet age?
Well, the internet was... I mean, I'm 15, so born in 89. This is 2004, right?
Okay,
so
fair enough.
Internet is around. MySpace is happening. And there's enough, like... I mean, we're early Pitchfork days, really. And there's enough internet exists for me to find out that like Radiohead are named after a Talking Heads song.
Yeah.
And they like covered the Smiths and like they love Joy Division.
You're piecing a few things together here, aren't you?
Yeah. So there was enough there for me to then like dig back into. And the friends I had at the time, Pat and the others, were also doing the same thing. Good
band name, by the way, Pat and the others, I must say.
Shame what happened to them. And so then I got into Smith's, Talking Head, Joy Division, and Velvet Underground and Lou Reed, and from that point onwards, it was like, okay, this is what I do. I'm into music now, you know, and that became a big thing. And also the sort of the bands at the time. This is like the sort of indie sleaze is just really kicking off. I don't think we called it that at the time. It was just
definitely didn't.
It was just called indie, wasn't it?
Certainly
I don't know where sleaze has come from.
And even that was a bit of an uncertain term as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean we called it indie. I think at the time for sure, because it was like the indie disco, which happened every Thursday night in Romford. At a bar called the Opium Lounge.
Tell me everything about the indie nights at the Opium Lounge, please, Liam.
Well, there wasn't... I mean, Romford was a bit of an indie oasis, right? There wasn't many of us at this point. You know, it's Essex, and the nights... I mean, the big club there is called Time and Envy.
Yeah, right.
Or I think it's called Liquid and Envy. It probably has been for about 15 years now. So the clubs didn't really cater to us. There was one rock bar...
That's one more than I'd have expected, in all honesty. So fair play.
Yeah, and there was, and then there was the Opium Lounge, which their indie night. So I mean, that was a kind of for I would say a year or two. That was every Thursday.
That was the hub.
We would go. We would drink in a pub called the Goose, which is still there because it was like £1.40 for a pint, but horrible. And then we would go to the Opium Lounge, and it would play the exact same songs every week. Sure. It would play This Charming Man. It would play Helicopter by Block Party. It would, you know, or it would end. Mr. Brightside was probably being played. I think it was probably pre Mr. Brightside cringe.
Yeah,
because
it was a relevant song.
At that point, it was like, oh wow, this song, you know, this is an amazing song, and no one really knows it here. And the Killers, I would say I was probably into them as well. And so that was a lot of my musical education was in that place.
On the dance floor.
On the dance floor. But also, like, we definitely found that there was a distinction between... We knew the distinction between, like, the indie bands we liked and indie landfill, right? So we loved Block Party and Arcade Fire and bands like that. But there were so many, like... every 10 minutes NME was doing a cover story about the next big London indie band, and you could tell like we hated the Kooks.
You hated the Kooks? Who else is getting on blast today?
Oh God, I'm gonna have to. I wasn't expecting to put indie bands from 20 years ago on blast, but
I kind of built a brand around it myself. So it's kind of
but that kind of that sort of Kooks like genre, I don't know. There was something just a bit cockless about it. We liked the Libertines and stuff that felt real, but the kind of the more clean cut kind of the Kooks always felt like music my mum would like.
Yeah.
And that wasn't what we were into at all.
Sure.
So yeah, I mean that was the genesis from it really, and from there, it just grows. So in a way, I kind of not regret it, but like it's changed. My feelings towards it have changed now because really Radiohead were my gateway drug, and they're a band that recently I have unfortunately have some political disagreements with, and so it feels a bit sad. It feels a bit sad that the genesis of that is a band that I don't really, I don't really feel like I can listen to or enjoy them anymore.
Yeah, I hear that. Still a big Morrissey fan there for the record, guys.
Yeah, I still. How do I justify the Morrissey thing? It's harder. It's interesting. I always found it when people spoke about like, oh, you shouldn't watch Woody Allen movies. I was like, yeah, agree, easy. I've never seen one. but with Morrissey, I definitely can bend myself in and out of shape, finding ways to justify. So the ways I say is I don't buy anything. Like I've got one Smiths record in my vinyl collection, and it was secondhand. So I'm like, okay, no money is going towards them. Also, Johnny Marr is great and lovely.
National treasure.
Really, so I sort of tell myself the Smiths, that's Johnny Marr's band, really, and Morrissey is just singing alongside it. But it's definitely a hypocrisy. However, I can also like Morrissey's just a stupid old bastard. Whereas I feel like no, actually, there's no justification here, is it? They are probably both bad.
That's the kind of insight people come with this podcast for.
Yeah.
Morrissey is bad.
Yeah.
That's fine. We can work with that. So that's good. An insight into the musical coming of age. But tell me a bit about your comedic coming of age and when you first got on stage, please, Liam.
So I was at university in Edinburgh. No, I said university in Edinburgh, not at Edinburgh University.
Pardon me for not knowing the difference, but feel free to explain.
Well, there's Edinburgh University, which is a world-class university, and then there's Queen Margaret's University, which is
technically in Edinburgh.
Yeah, I mean, and so I went to that one. Yeah, I was studying drama. I'd always wanted to do comedy. I mean, I was young. I was 19.
Sure.
And there was an open mic music night. So I went. And it was in the Students' Union, and it was a tiny uni. So Students' Union, very small. There was probably like 30 or 40 people at this open mic music night. And I just went and played some comedy songs that I liked from other people.
Like what sort of thing?
God, I remember, I think I played a Tom Basden song, which, I mean, so he's just done the film with Tim Key, The Ballad of Wallace Island.
Right, yeah.
So, like, that was the sort of thing. And I can't remember what else, but it was like, you know, I could play a little bit of guitar, and it was just a silly, friendly open mic. And the woman who ran the SU was like, we'd love to run a stand-up comedy night. Like, you know, you that was really funny. And I was like, it wasn't my songs, though. And she was like, yeah, I reckon you could do it. And, you know, I was 19 and if someone asked me that now and I'd never done it, I'd be like, no, of course not. But I was 19 and I was like, yeah, I could probably do a comedy night. So I asked around a bunch of like guys on my course and guys I knew, like, right, who's ever wanted to give stand up a go?
Right, yeah.
And we got together 5 or 6 of us, and we just did a show, and it was mainly to our mates. There was, again, in this tiny Students' Union bar, probably like 50 people. Everyone was people that we knew, and I hosted, and everyone did 5 minutes. And that was it. And that was the first gig. And it went, I mean, in my head at the time, it went phenomenally.
Yeah.
You know, I'm glad footage of it does not exist.
Of course.
Not only because it would like break apart my memory of it, but probably because it was definitely awful.
But a receptive room full of love and joy and support. Right?
Yes, and so that was enough for. I mean, we then started on the back of that a comedy society with the hope to do that regularly, and then we got in touch with the Edinburgh University Comedy Society and started doing gigs with them, and it just kind of went on from there. And then you sort of make the step up to like, oh, these are non-student gigs. So there's a comedy club in Edinburgh called the Stand Comedy Club, and they have a very famous weekly sign up open mic night, which I mean there's a 6-month waiting list for it.
Whoa.
And that's, I mean, you'd go there and that's where the likes of, you know, Kevin Bridges or Frankie Boyle are coming on to try out new material, and that's the first real comedy club that most of us played, and it just kept going from there. I did it whilst I was at university, and after a few years of uni I decided to drop out to try and pursue it full time, and you know 6 or 7 years later that I was full time. Before that, I was just very, very poor, and yeah, then eventually it just becomes your job.
Love it, Liam. I've got a real measure of the man, so I think it's about time we started talking about an album. Why don't you tell us which album we are discussing today, please, Liam?
I've chosen 2025's Gen Z indie hit of the year. It's Getting Killed by Geese.
Yes, it is. Thank you, Liam. Geese are a 4-piece indie rock band from New York City, and today we are discussing the third of their album releases, 2025's Getting Killed. It's an album that was recorded just a month after lead singer Cameron Winter released his much-lauded debut solo record, Heavy Metal, and it sees the band leaping forward in terms of their sonic palette, playing style and songwriting. The album is undoubtedly a landmark for modern music and has seen the press fall over themselves with praise for the band. But don't just take my word for it. Here's what NME had to say about Getting Killed. This is a band living up to their reputation as exhilaratingly free-spirited. Not so much proving they deserve all the accolades and fervent fanaticism. Oh, I'm not pronouncing that right. What do you reckon? Fanaticism?
Fanaticism?
Fanaticism? Fanaticism?
Oh, fanaticism. You've got it.
Bubbling around. I'll try that again. Not so much proving they deserve all the accolades and fervent fanaticism, bubbling around them, but demanding it. Why do they make it so much hard work? There's a bomb in your car? Well, there's a podcast in this room, Cameron. Mind if we get on with it?
Whoa.
There we go. Pretty cool ending
That
there.
was great. I enjoyed that.
Pretty cool ending. Geese, Getting Killed. What an album. What a band. What a time to be Gen Z. Tell me about when you first got geesed.
Actually, the cool thing to say is that you liked 3D Country,
Yeah.
their second album, and then Cameron Winter did the solo album you mentioned, and then they dropped this, so you were kind of expecting it. I didn't know them.
Yep.
And I was just, I think the day it came out, I was on Reddit and r/indie heads, which is a music forum I frequent, and there was just a lot of hype for this release. So I just put it on, and I wasn't sure about it straight away because the opening song is that...
It's a lot.
It is
it's a lot.
It's a lot, and it's kind of different from the rest of the album in a lot of ways. Yeah, it actually took me... I think I probably put on the first song and went, I don't know about this, and then just moved on to whatever else I was that day.
Got on with your day, yeah.
And then I think over the next few weeks, sort of went back to it. I'm sure that the Cobra was getting a lot of radio play as well, and I went back to it and then listened to the rest of the album, and I was enjoying it. I mean, every Friday I sort of listen to. I try and find the new albums that I'm going to enjoy that week, and then I kind of have them on rotation over the next few weeks. And I was actually in London. I was doing a weekend at the Comedy Store, and I was just walking around, and I was listening to it fully, finally. And the minute that I was like, okay, is in the song Taxes, when there's the big sort of musical break. You're gonna have to nail me. This is, people always used to complain on the joint album when we do too much singing.
Yes.
But
welcome to my podcast, Liam. You can get it out of your system.
I had enjoyed it. I'd been listening to the album a few times, and I remember at that moment I was just had the headphones on. It was really loud, and I was like, God, this is fucking awesome. And I got my phone out and I bought tickets to see them in Glasgow, like
Amazing.
in that moment. And that was where it all clicked for me. And I was like, I'd been enjoying it, but then I was like, no, this album is really, it's like spectacular. And it feels like, as you said, it feels like a big moment, right? This is like one of the, I feel like you get it less and less nowadays. Maybe it's like a streaming thing or whatever, but like albums being moments, like feels rare.
Yeah.
Like there was a Charlie XCX Brat.
That's the example of a big one, isn't it? Yeah.
Where it's like it kind of is a bit of a zeitgeist thing, and this is not as big as Brat.
It's not Brat big, yeah, sure.
But in the music world, I think it's pretty seismic, and they're the first big Gen Z like.
The first example of Gen Z getting it right, it feels like.
Well, yeah, the first Gen Z rock band where the beard having six music dads are going, hey, the kids are all right actually, you know. And so this last year it's been on rotation a lot, and then I did I jumped into the back catalogue and that Cameron Winter solo album as well is like another pretty phenomenal album.
Yes,
and so for him to have two within the space of really just less than a year is like, it's just exciting. It's like, what are these guys going to do? Yeah. It feels like their potential's just so massive.
That's exactly right. It's exactly right. And I think what you said, I can relate to that an awful lot. I didn't get this band at first.
Yeah.
I did not get it at all. There was 2 songs on that second album, 3D Country, I loved. And the rest of it I couldn't really connect with. This album come out, and I was listening to it, and I couldn't get with it at all until that riff comes on in Taxes.
Yeah.
And suddenly that's the payoff you've been waiting for the entire album.
Yeah.
And it all starts making sense. I then went back and listened to their first album.
Yep.
Have you heard that one yet?
Yep.
It's a much more direct and much more Strokesy sounding album, but more palatable for us sort of millennials.
Yep.
And that's when things really started falling into place. And I sort of go, now I'm getting it. Now I can really get behind this band.
Yeah, it's... I mean, we spoke about it a bit on the Enjoy an Album End of Year podcast, and that track listing thing I think is a bit of not an issue, but because they've spoken about it, and I like the fact that it was they made a choice. They were like, well, no, we want to start on the back foot. Yeah, which I think is interesting as well. Like they're doing something that is like interesting to make people go, whoa, what the fuck is this? Before just like it's like, you know, I loved The Wire when it came out, right? The David Simon TV show. And I remember seeing an interview with him. At the time, that was revolutionary because it was like so not for casual viewers. Right, and I remember him talking about it. And so HBO were like, you know, what about casual viewers if they turn in episode 7 and there's like they have no idea what's going on? What are you going to do? And he said, well, fuck the casual viewer. That's not who I'm going for. And that's what this reminds me of. It's like, yeah, we don't mind if you turn off after the first song because we're not looking for you if that's what you do. Yeah. So yeah, it definitely rewards a couple of listens, and they are definitely a band. I mean, even now you open any sort of music forum or whatever, there are people arguing. There are people who just, I don't get it. I don't get the hype. Yeah. It's Emperor's New Clothes, etc., etc. Versus people going, this is the best band in 20 years, and so I mean, I don't know if I'd quite say that, but I definitely have been geese-pilled, as the kids say.
You've been geese-pilled. I thought you had something going on. That's what it is, How important do you think the imagery and the fashion of this band have been to your enjoyment?
I don't know, because I mean, I guess they definitely. Yeah, that's a good question because they're from New York, right? And they're rich kids, and they've had this big seminal album. Yeah. So the Strokes comparisons are
pretty easy, isn't it?
It's pretty easy, and that it's made easy for you and fair. I think that is maybe one of the reasons why they've broken through, and the millennials are liking them as well as the Gen Zs because they're tugging that millennial nostalgia for the Gen Zs. For the millennials, sorry, and for the Gen Zs, they're the exciting new band, and I guess a lot of that is to do with like how they carry themselves and. You know, the long hair and the vests and I don't know if they're wearing skinny jeans, maybe.
I don't think they're wearing skinnies, no. I think they're a bit a looser pant than that.
Yeah.
As is the fashion.
As was the fashion at the time. But they are a cool looking band, and they're very casual, which I think does add to the whole. Yeah. Like they kind of sometimes they look like they haven't brushed their hair or whatever.
Why is it with posh kids playing dress up like that, man? It's
yeah, I mean, it's because they can, right?
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to brush your hair because you're not worried about not getting your job interview.
Right? Yeah, it's a
really
good point. I never thought about that.
So you just can live like a slob.
Yeah.
And I don't even think it looks that much like a slob, but like you can get away with it, and because it's interesting, right? It's more.
Is.
You look like
You got something about you.
Yeah.
Speaking of something about you, Cameron Winter's got a bit of an aura and a vibe about him, and the way he carries himself in interviews and stuff, and even on stage, it's quite unique. What do you make of his general vibe?
Well, again, he's what, 23?
He's 23, man. That is mental, isn't it?
And it makes me think of watching footballers growing up.
Yes.
And there's a point when you're the same age as a lot of footballers.
Feels quite long ago now, doesn't it?
Yeah, and then there's a point where you're the same age as some managers.
Oh.
and it makes you like, you are just, God, I just feel so old. And yeah, there's kind of the reaction that a lot of people have as they grow up is, oh, new music's rubbish, and the like all this new music's crap and old, but it was better in the best time for music by pure coincidence was the time that I got into music.
Yeah, when I was 21, thank you very much.
Yeah, right. And I definitely understand that urge because I think it's natural as you get older. But like seeing him, it makes me instead feel excited about what the kids are getting up to, and what the music they're making as a reaction to everything that people my generation made is actually going to be really interesting and exciting, and they are going to offer something new. And he's like basically the perfect example of that. And the fact that he's producing such amazing work at 23 just makes me think, holy shit, how much of this guy are we going to get?
Yeah,
and how
exactly.
And where is it going to go? I mean, it could be like there was a footballer called Freddie Adu, I remember. Who
I don't. What's Freddie Adu's vibe?
He was 14 or something, and he was from LA, I think.
Forgive me for not being up to date on Californian teenage football, but go on, Liam.
But he was like, he was going to be the next cute, like there was videos, like early viral videos of him of like, oh my god, this guy's gonna be the next world superstar, right? And it never happened because he just never fulfilled his potential. So that is a possibility of Cameron Winter. It could be that this guy's like Freddie Adu. He just releases another few albums, and none of them are quite as good as his last one. Or he could be the next Messi or Ronaldo. He could go on to make some of the best work of this century, and that's what's exciting about it. You listen to Heavy Metal, his solo album, and you're like, this is so mature. He's writing like an artist so much older than him already, and lyrically he's writing really powerful poetic stuff, and he's a fucking kid. He's like a chess prodigy or something. Do you know what I mean? You hear about those kids winning like world titles in chess when they're like 7. And you're like, what's happened there? What are they going to be like when they're 20? Well, that's how I feel about this. So the aura about him I get as well. He's a handsome young man.
He's
as well,
handsome.
I think, which helps. But I mean, he's 23. I think we're all handsome.
You're supposed to be handsome at 23. Yeah.
Yeah, nothing's...
I wasn't. But
I bet you were.
I weren't. I basically I went vegan at 30.
Right.
And suddenly, man, I had a glow up.
Oh, really?
Big glow up.
Wow.
So what you're seeing now, and this incredibly handsome man in front of you, wasn't always this way, Liam.
Okay, right. Yeah, I guess they're like the ugly duckling. Okay.
The 30-year payoff.
Yeah.
So normally, right, I ask questions about what was happening in the guest's life when an album come out. But I think what I'm going to do is rephrase it a little bit. You mentioned that our man Cameron's 23 years old.
Yeah.
Tell me a bit about what you were up to when you were 23, Liam.
Well, yeah, that's it as well. I think that's he's produced like real
masterpieces that have been cherished,
genre-changing work.
Yeah.
And I was, I just dropped out of university, and I was deep into my alcohol and drug experimentation years. I was living in another community. I was maybe, I don't know if I was quite living in the bedsit then, but I was living in a really horrible flat in Edinburgh. The flat was gross and we were gross. We had 2 fridges. When we moved in, for some reason, there was a fridge in the kitchen, there was a fridge in the hallway. We used both. We were all so disgusted. We were 3 boys living together. We were also discussing at one point someone had left something in the fridge that had gotten mouldy and was like smelly and bad, and no one would take responsibility for it. And if you opened the fridge, it stank, and no one was cleaning it up. So one day, my flatmate got out some gaffer tape, and he just gaffer taped up the second fridge, and was like, "Well, now problem solved." We didn't have a table, so we took the door off the living room, and we stole some crates from outside Tesco, and we put the door. And so we had a door table. My room was particularly like just foul. It was. There was. I just left. I never hung anything else. It was just clothes lying fucking everywhere, and we all smoked, and there was like empty beer cans everywhere. It was really disgusting. One time I remember I met a lady on a night out, and I asked if she'd like to join me at my humble abode, and she came in and she stepped inside our flat and she went, "This is fucking disgusting," and left. So. That was all when I was. Was
that a wake up call, Liam, for a lifestyle change, or?
It took a while longer.
Okay, yeah.
It took a while longer. I was like, "What's her problem? Stuck up or what?" Okay, what she's never slept on a mattress without sheets before? Come on, princess. So yeah, I was. I mean, look, I was having a lot of fun.
Sure.
But I don't think the people around me were. I mean, the people in my flat were. We were all as bad as one another, really.
Yeah, I assume that to be the case, Liam. Don't worry.
But we certainly weren't producing genre-defying works of art.
Yeah, it's kind of a generational one-off talent that gets to do that, isn't it? Really. So let's not be too hard on ourselves, Liam. Mention a bit about teenage you discovering Radiohead, Talking Heads, The Smiths. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. What do you think teenage you would make of your music taste in 2026?
I think he'd be pretty happy. I'd be sad about the Radiohead drop-off.
Yeah. That's out of your hands, though, right?
Yeah.
That ain't your fault.
Yeah, but I actually think, 16, 17, 18-year-old me would be... So here's something I can tell you, right? A friend of mine who's... I won't say who they are, but they're a...
Is it Patrick?
No, it's a comedian. And they know Ed O'Brien from Radiohead, right? They've done gigs with him, and this comedian knows that I grew up massive Radiohead. I have a Radiohead tattoo, and in the last couple of years, Johnny Greenwood played a gig in Israel last year, right? Which is not... Nick Cave and Radiohead did gigs in Tel Aviv in 2018, 2019, which is... they still were crossing BDS at the time, and there was big debates about it. But then it was last year, do you know what I mean? It was 40,000 dead or something at the time. And so I was just like, I can't support this band anymore. And my friend who knows Ed O'Brien from Radiohead messaged me one day and said, "Hey, Radiohead have just announced live dates. They're doing a show at the O2 in London." Ed messaged me saying, "Would I like to come along and be his guest? And with a +1, you'd go backstage, you'd meet the band,
Shit.
You'd watch Radiohead from the side of the stage." And it's like, I was just imagined 18-year-old me getting that offer and being like, "That's amazing. That's his dream." But I just thought, I can't do that. I can't. I couldn't live with myself pretending I don't actually care about all this stuff. At a point where I'd already said, "Well, I'm done with them," to then get the offer and go, "Oh, actually, I changed my mind because I could meet them." It's like, who even are you? Yeah. So I think 18-year-old me would probably be struggling with that part of it and say, "You got the opportunity to meet them and go backstage with them, and you didn't." But modern me has made my peace with it. 18-year-old me is still inside me going, "What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Go and meet him. Go get a picture with Tom York." But modern me is, I think, happy with my choice.
Liam, fair fucking play, man. And on this podcast, we support a free Palestine. So always. How would you describe the average Geese fan?
Oh, well, this is... I actually saw a reel about this where a woman was being very funny about Geese, and she was comparing them to Fish fans. Remember the band
Right,
Fish?
yeah. I don't know much about Fish. I know they've got like a very cult following, haven't they? And
That's
fans
it.
follow them around. And
Yeah.
is there much more to know about Fish? Or
No, I mean, that's kind of all you need to know, right? That's where the comparison is. There's definitely... There is a fandom which is very... It reminds me of Rick and Morty. I remember when Rick and Morty was first on TV, and the fans were like known for being very annoying online, for being a sort of like, well, you wouldn't get it. Like it's a cartoon, but it's actually a lot of the jokes are really clever, and you might watch it and you might laugh, but what we're laughing at is probably probably a bit different.
Yeah.
And I think Geese are the Rick and Morty of modern music, in that I think it's really good, but the fans, the online fandom particularly, probably quite annoying and quite sanctimonious and a bit like well, we like it because it's actually smart to like it. In fact, probably very similar to how I was with Radiohead when I was a teenager, who also had that kind of like, we're kind of above other music fans for liking this band. So you enjoy your music, but this is for the real heads.
Yeah, I know you guys like the riff in Taxes, but what I actually like is the 13/7 time signature on the opening song.
Yes, yeah, which I do like. Okay,
good. No, yeah. Didn't like it first, but I'm there now, guys. But I think have you seen Geese live yet? You mentioned you got tickets for Glasgow. No, is that a future experience?
That's in the future.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. They had where were they playing? They were playing a smaller venue in March, and that was sold out. And I was annoyed because you always want to see the band in a smaller venue.
Yeah, I'm gutted to have missed that era.
Yeah, and they're playing Barrowlands, which is still a very, very good place to go and see live music. And it's not massive. It's not like an arena.
It's about 3,000, 4,000 there, is it?
Something like that.
Yeah.
And so they're playing that in August. And I was like, God, I wish I was going to that smaller show. And then I saw, due to everything that's happened, their smaller show has now been upgraded to the Barrowlands anyway. So, or they're just all there. So yeah, I'm going there. Yeah, I'm going. It's actually the same way. I go see The Cure on the Tuesday.
Big week.
And then Geese on the Friday.
Yeah, class. Well, look, fingers crossed, because we're mentioning this. Geese, if you're listening, hello, Geese's PR team. Hello. I've not seen your band yet, and I don't think it's going to happen. Yes, I think I'm quite curious to see that as live shows, what the sort of makeup will be between Gen Zs, millennials, Six Music Dads. I don't know. I feel like it could be a real 50-50 split. What do you think?
I think it will be a huge mix, and I think it'll be because they've just. There's like a crossover moment that could happen. That happened with Fontaine's DC. So when Fontaine's DC released, I think their third album, Skinty Fear, I think that felt similar to this, where they're like, they're selling out. People love them. They're not an arena band yet.
But we're bloody getting there.
But it feels like on the way, and then they released their last album, and then so I went to see them at the Hydro in Glasgow, huge arena, and the makeup was just everybody because they'd had that crossover. I don't think Geese had that everybody bit yet, but I do think it will be a mix of. I think there'll be a lot of like. Probably not even Gen Z, probably Gen Alpha, really.
You reckon? Well.
I don't know what age they would be, but I mean, I've been talking about Gen Z for so long. They must be, they must be getting into their late 20s, I would think. So it could even be the Gen under that.
Liam, this is making me feel horrifically old. You know that, don't you?
Yeah, I know, but one thing that I've enjoyed about Geese is that it's made me reevaluate how awful that makes me feel. Because instead of being like, oh God, I feel old, I'm suddenly like, isn't it exciting what these guys are going to do? Which makes me feel like when people say it's a privilege getting old, I suddenly feel like that for the first time.
Yeah.
Which is what has made me love this album so much. And so I reckon there'll be all ages there. I think there'll be some crusty Six Music Dads standing at the back.
Yeah.
And I think there'll be probably some super fans queuing for 3 hours before to get in the front row. You know, there's a few. I remember I went to see Phoebe Bridgers at the Barrowlands, exact same venue, and that's what it was like. It was people. It was from all over the spectrum.
Well, and that surprised me. I thought it was a much younger audience.
That's what I was expecting. And then there was a lot of guys my age, and then some older dudes, and then.
The world needs more white men in music venues, right?
Please, if we could. And then I went to see Lord at the Usher Hall in Edinburgh. and I felt like the oldest man on planet Earth.
Yeah.
That was exclusively like 18-year-old and younger girls, and I was stood at the back with my wife, and we were like, they were like screaming the whole time, and shit, Lord, she was amazing, but it was not my favourite gig.
I needed to hear that, Liam. You've answered a question for me, because I do want to go and see Lord in the summer at Victoria Park. I'll be 40.
I think Vicky Park would be okay though, because a gig like that, that's All Points East, right?
Yeah.
So that's massive. It's in East London. Like I think that would be different. This was Usher Hall. It's a small gig.
Yeah, I've been Usher Hall. It's class there.
And I think that this would be like when you get to those really big sort of rooms.
Yeah, a bit more crossover, I guess. Yeah. Well, speaking of, I had a similar thing. I saw Fred again last week, and I expect to be full of 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds. Yeah. Wow, man. Really mixed age demographic.
Fred again is funny for me because I feel like I should dislike him, but I keep putting the songs on. Worming his way into my playlist.
Yeah. I mean, there's plenty of things to dislike about the guy, but he's got some strong points. Pretty good. How often do you revisit this album, and how well do you think this is going to age? 10 years' time, are people going to be looking back at Getting Killed?
Interesting. I think so. I think this is one of those albums that is one of the things that people like about it is like, oh, this feels seminal.
Yeah.
And so a bit like, when To Pimp a Butterfly came out or stuff like that, I feel like people in 10 years will still remember, that was the year that Geese album came out. But it kind of depends on what they do next as well. I suspect they'll have another strong release.
There'll be at least one more, won't there?
Yeah, I think so. I think this will be looked upon as like a moment. And yeah, is indie rock back? That's the question.
Again?
If it is, then this will be the launch pad for it, I suppose.
Do you think that's what will happen? Do you think it will inspire a new generation of bands?
I mean, like we've spoken about Fontaines DC and bands like that already. So there are still that was the kind of the the post-punk revival.
Post-punk.
Yeah. the post-punk squared. So I guess this is a follow-on from that. I hope so, because they're doing interesting stuff and it isn't just a rehash of old things.
Yeah.
And so it could lead to a lot of like cool, like, I don't know, interesting experimental, like groove indie, like jam indie, which is the kind of what they're fucking with. So I hope so. I don't think it'll be one of those things where in 10 years, God, remember that album? Everyone was going crazy about that album and we never spoke about it again. Or sometimes you have, like there was the stomp clap era of like your Mumford and Sons, and that was everywhere. And now or dubstep, when dubstep was everywhere, and people look back and go, "Fucking hell, what were we listening to?" I think this will still. I can imagine like a kid in 20 years or whatever, being 15 and finding out, oh, my favorite band listened to this band called Geese, and then putting them on and going, "Wow, this is cool." That's what I hope, but we'll see.
You're dreaming big, Liam, and I like that. What emotions do you feel when you listen to this album, Liam?
What emotions do I feel when I listen to it? That's a good question. I feel, as I said, like excited about like this generational talent and the potential. It's made me think differently about my own age and relationship with newer art. Don't get me wrong, I do have that instinct of like, oh God, I'm old and I'm gonna die, and that does come out a bit as well, especially when I realised that this is the first music I've loved by somebody who was not born when 9/11 happened.
Fuck.
Like from doing stand-up, I host a lot, I compare a lot, and so I'm chatting to people every night in clubs, and you notice trends, and there's been years of chatting to people and realising you don't remember 9/11, which is like, fuck, can you imagine not remembering it? And then meeting people who like, you weren't born and you're an adult. Like you've got a job and you've got a life, and so to you, what your relationship with 9/11 must be crazy. Like it's just it's probably like the way I think about the fall of the Berlin Wall or something. And so this is the first thing where, I love something that someone who has no relationship with that, and they made it, and I love it. So yeah, it makes me. And if you ever listen to the Enjoy an Album podcast, you know we like to talk about 9/11 quite a lot, and so it makes me think of that and just how interesting the world is. That something that seemed like everything for so long is nothing to this person. And now they are walking around and making beautiful art.
Yeah, I'm working with someone that was born after France 98 and being like, what do you mean you don't remember where you were when Beckham got that red card? I don't understand.
Yeah, really that's weird. It as well. Yeah.
But he wasn't making groundbreaking art. He just worked in sales at a digital company, yeah. What would be the perfect setting, Liam Withnail, to listen to this album? Where are we? Who are we with? What time of day is it? Get your paintbrushes out. Paint me a picture, please, mate.
I think live. I mean, I haven't watched it live, but that to me is like, that's got to be it, right? Especially with a band like this, where it's, you just know there's going to be a lot of like jamming and riffing and different things than on the recorded album, because the album feels like a live recorded album. So I think the best possible way to experience it would be with the band in the room. And then what's the best way to see the band in the room? Probably really tiny room with like a small crowd where they feel very comfortable. So probably, they did a tiny desk recently, and you kind of I think that would probably be the best vibe, but longer. You want to kind of like an hour and a half with maybe 500 people in like some, I don't know, an underground like bunker somewhere cool, probably in London or New York. Probably New York. New
York sounds good.
Probably New York, like some like Brooklyn, like small venue that's been around for like 100 years. That's like very famous for up and coming bands or something to play, and probably with only like 300 or 400 or something like that with you, I think would be the perfect like setting to hear
Geese moment,
to hear the album in its entirety, where it belongs. Yeah.
How important do you think that is? The whole idea of an album having a home city, and like, can you picture yourself in New York when you listen to this, or does it feel like a New York album, I guess is the question.
Well, I've never been to New York, so I guess it would be hard for me to say yes, but it does. There is something, it's like a trope people say about, I don't know, classic movies. Of course, the main character in this film is New York itself. Yeah. And
Woody Allen, I guess, with the one.
And you definitely, you feel that with this. That is very there. And some albums have a location, and that is part of it. And that's part of their story as well. So you can't really separate the two. So there's London albums as well. And that's part of it. And so being there, listening to it, I think would be I think it definitely adds a bit of colour to the whole album for sure. Sure.
What's the worst bit of this album, Liam?
I think we spoke about the track listing already. So I get why they did it. And I think it's cool that they've made like a decision. But I would do it differently. I would open probably with Cobra instead of Trinidad. And I think would be a much smoother way in. And they don't want to be accessible because they're like young and they're like, fuck everybody. Do you know what I mean? And they're like me when I was 9. I was like, I can do a comedy gig. Of course I can. I'm Liam. I can do whatever I want. That's what they're like. Well, we're fucking Geese. We'll put the fucking crazy song at the stop.
We're rich kids from New York. Don't fucking worry about that.
Absolutely. Whereas I feel like every now and then you do need an adult in the room to say, okay, we do want to sell records though. I mean, obviously they have sold records, so it turns out they were right. But I still often, when I listen to it, I skip the first song. And I like the song. I go back and I do listen to it. Not always do I skip the first song, but often I'm like, I'm not ready for, there's a bomb in my car. I'm not ready for that. Whereas I am ready for, baby.
That's a good baby. That's a good baby.
Forever.
It's like he's in the room right now.
So I often find myself skipping that track. So I guess that the ordering. Would I end with Taxes? No, I'd put it in the middle. Not Taxes. I would end with Trinidad. I'd put it in the middle. I'd warm up to it a bit more rather than just throwing ice cold water in someone's face. I would adjust the temperature of the room first.
Nice. I like that. Leads on nicely to what is the best song on the album. Is it Taxes? Is it that riff?
I've actually been since it came out. I've been through a few different favourite songs. So at first it was Cobra.
He's back.
And then it was Taxes. At the moment it's I Pay the Cocaine.
Yeah.
Like a sailor in a big green boat, you can be free. So at the moment, it's that one that I'm enjoying the most. But it's between those three. And any album that you've got 3 songs that you think are your favourite at different times, I think that's pretty strong. That's a strong one, yeah.
Well, there's a lovely answer, but they're wrong. The best song is a different song. Islands of Men is the best song, actually.
Okay.
So thanks for
that's
playing along,
also
Liam.
very good, yeah.
Thank you. We've covered a lot of ground, Liam. It's been a lot of fun. Is there any moments, memories, feelings attached to this album that we've not touched on yet?
I would go and check out the solo record, and I would also go and watch. They did a live lounge, and they covered.
It's really good, isn't it?
They covered New Radicals.
Yeah, it's so good.
You got a reason to live, don't let go. You got a dreamer's disease, which is.
You notice that I've not sung along with you once yet. I'm letting you cook, man.
Which I love that song. I hadn't listened to it in so long, and I only found out recently the lead singer of New Radicals. When he became a songwriter.
That's right. He's done Ronan Keating songs.
He rang Ronan.
Yeah.
He
Life
wrote,
is a roller coaster.
He wrote Life is a Roller Coaster. He also wrote Sophie Ellis Bextor's Murder on the Dance Floor.
That I didn't know.
Isn't that? Yeah, that's crazy. So I would love to hear a Geese Murder on the Dance Floor. Or Life is a roller coaster. You just gotta ride it. Yeah.
We don't need it now. We've had. This version.
You've had it.
Superior version.
Just sample it up.
Yeah,
sample it up.
Yeah.
Auto tune. Remember that was a thing as well. Everyone was auto tuning everything.
What happened to auto tune, man?
I think everyone just realised this isn't good.
Well, tell that to Charlie XCX. She makes good use of it.
Oh yeah.
There is that.
Yeah, but no. But other than that, I think just go out and enjoy the process of aging without fear. That's what I'd say.
What a beautiful, beautiful message to end things on, Liam. But we're not done yet. We've got one last little trick up our sleeve. There's a little feature we play at the end of the show.
Oh, God.
It's called Fair Play, Guys.
Right.
Well, not those guys.
Right.
Basically, we're going to run through top 20 album end-of-year lists from a year this album come out and see if the people in that list are justified in their placing or not. It's quite simple. Fair play, guys. Not those guys.
Can I ask who made this list, or is it just like...
Don't you worry. I was going to say Pitchfork's top 20 albums of the year. Where do you think Geese came?
I think I know. I might be wrong. I have a feeling Pitchfork. I mean, they want to be cool, right? And actually, this album hit such a fever pitch that it suddenly became cool to like put them as like 6th or something. So I think it might be 2nd or 3rd, but it might be lower. It might be 6th.
Which one do you go with? Let's have some Jeopardy here, Liam.
Let's go 6.
Yeah, going 6?
Yeah.
Let's find out, shall we, as we go along. So here we go. Pitchfork's 20 albums of the year. I've got to say, there's a lot of gear in here that I am not familiar with at all. So let's see if you do better than me. At 20, Nick Leon, A Tropical Entropy.
No, don't know that one.
Fair play, guys, or not those guys?
Yeah, fair play, guys.
You're so nice, Liam. That's very polite of you. At 19, Titanic, Hagen.
Oh, I did listen to that. That was
it's
a strange. If it's a song, the one I'm thinking of, it's like a. Oh, I might get this wrong. I think it's like an experimental kind of cello album.
You fucking hell. Well, one for the heads. Maybe I'll go back and listen to that. So fair play to Titanic, we're saying?
I didn't fuck with it.
Didn't say it was good.
I didn't love it, but I mean, I think you have to be quite into experimental classical music to get it, but it wasn't for me. So no, not one of those guys.
Absolutely correct. At 18, Pink Pantheress. Fancy that.
Yeah, I did listen to this. It's not my vibe, really. So
I quite enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I liked it.
Yeah, it's one of those. I can listen to it and I can go. I can see what people are getting out of this, but I am not one of those people.
Crack on, lads. Not for me.
Yeah.
At 17, Water from Your Eyes. It's a beautiful place.
Yeah, this is like a sort of modern R&B album, and I had a lot. There's the guy who used to cut my hair. His name's Joseph Goss. Shout out Joseph Goss. I remember him putting this up and sharing how much he loved it. I listened to it again. I think probably I'm a bit of an R&B dum-dum, too much of an R&B dum-dum to really get what this album was doing. I have listened to it a couple of times. I liked it. Probably fair enough that it's in this list. That's a me thing again. So that's fair on those guys.
Fair play, guys.
Fair play, guys.
At 16, Rosalia with Lux.
I can't believe that's only 16.
I was shocked by that.
Yeah, that might be Pitchfork trying to be cool again. Yeah, that's fair enough. Absolutely loved that album. Listened to that a lot. It's fucking crazy.
It's a lot, isn't it?
If you haven't heard it, just put on some headphones and go for a long walk and just have your little balls blown off.
It's a lot.
Yeah, great album.
At 15, Earl Sweatshirt with Live, Laugh, Love.
Yeah, like whenever the big hip hop releases drop, I go, I should listen to this because I'm a music guy, and I listen to it once and I go, yep, that's hip hop, and then
that's about the same for me.
And then I don't listen to it again.
Exactly
so
right,
Christian MacArthur Boyd loved that one, I know. So and he knows what he's talking about. So I'll say
fair play,
enough.
guys. That
fair
one,
play,
yeah,
guys.
absolutely. At 14, Barker with Stoshus. Oh, I don't know how you pronounce this one. Let's have a go. Have a go on that.
Barker with Stochastic Drift.
Stochastic Drift.
I don't
know. 2
know.
questions, Liam. Is that album any good? And what does stochastic mean?
I have to say I don't know that one. That was one that bypassed me.
Fuck those guys. There you go. You heard it here first. At 13, Sudan Archives with the BPM.
I loved the opening song to this album, and then didn't love the rest. But I think it's very cool that a violinist is making like electronic music.
Sure.
And so I love. Yeah, I would say fair enough.
Fair play, guys. At 12, big album, Addison Rae. Addison.
No, I didn't like this one.
Not for you?
No, it's not one of mine.
That album is the only album my wife listened to last year.
Really? Some people just don't really listen to music much, right? And like that's okay. But I think like with respect to your wife, okay?
Here we go.
If I hear someone who never listens to music loves this album, that doesn't make me go, oh, I bet it's good. Do you know what I mean?
It actually is pretty decent. I like that one. Sarah, if you're listening.
Shout out, Sarah.
At 11, it's Smurs with Big City Life. Do you know anything about Smurs? Because I don't.
No, I don't. I feel. Oh wait, they've got a really good song. Oh God Almighty, it's gonna drive me crazy. I might have to try and look this up. There is one song of theirs that I do know that is really good, and I haven't actually checked out the whole album. But I know the song because it was on like the indie Reddit's like end of year top 100 tracks. And there is one song that I know of theirs that I like, so therefore I will say
fair play, guys. Absolutely, I'll check. I don't know about Smurs. I'll check that out. At 10, Amaray with Black Star. I don't know Amaray either. I don't know this person.
This sounds familiar. I feel like I put it on one Friday and to check it out when it came out, and then never revisited it.
Yeah.
So I'll say no.
Not those guys.
Not
Yeah,
those guys.
absolutely. At 9, Nourished by Time, The Passionate Ones.
Yeah, wait, I think I might have got confused between Nourished by Time and what was earlier in the list? Water From Your Eyes. I think Water From Your Eyes are a rock band, and I think Nourished by Time are the R&B band.
I've definitely listened to both of those and can't remember much about either of them, but I think you're about right. Yeah.
I think I've confused. So what I said about Water From Your Eyes earlier, I actually mean about Nourished by Time.
Sure.
And Water From Your Eyes, I actually think that was a good rock record. And I think I've confused the both of them. And I hold my hands up when I'm wrong. Sometimes when you're thinking about 20 different bands at once, you say the wrong thing. And that's okay.
Imagine if you were right first time and now you're going back on it, though. Fucking hell, my head's starting to get a bit matrixy now.
But that's also okay.
That's a risk I'm willing to take.
Yeah.
At 8, it's Joanne Robertson with Blur. 3 R's on
Yeah,
Blur
this was
now.
recommended to me quite a few times. So it was one that every now and then there's an album that I listen to and I go, I'm not, this isn't really for me. And then I just keep seeing it pop up and I keep going back to it. It never really clicked with me. The album cover is just this sort of thing. You get this a lot with comedians now. It's like quite an out of focused like low res picture of her that kind of looks like it was just snapped in 2 seconds on a phone, and I liked that, but no, the album I never really got into, so that's not for me. Not
those guys. At 7, seminal album by a hip New York band.
There you go. I was close.
Yeah, it's Geese with Getting Killed, isn't it?
I'm happy with my guess at 6.
It was good, actually. That was really good stuff, that.
Because that I just know what Pitchfork are like, and I just know that even
they know they love that album more than they've said. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and they wouldn't even give it second because that's still like, oh, it's
so
just
obvious.
Yeah, so they're you know, and they don't want to completely. It's not a snub. It's not like, oh, we're not putting them on the list.
Oh, 7 not enough for you, lads.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Fuck Pitchfork. But
well, of course.
At 6, good album. Wednesday, Bleeds.
Yeah, I did really like the album. Not as much as everyone else, but I did really like it. And
it's pretty good.
Yeah, big MJ Lenderman head also. So, yeah, those guys are fine.
Fair play, guys.
Fair play, guys.
Sorry, exactly you want. Okay. At 5, Bad Bunny with, here we go, Debbie, tira más fotos. How did I do? Was that good?
I don't speak Spanish, but yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Bad Bunny again. We covered Daddy Yankee, I remember on the pod, and he's like the sort of Bad Bunny is the spiritual successor, and I watched the halftime show and I thought it was incredible. I have much respect for him and his fans and his music. I love that, you know, nowadays him and Rosalia, 2 of the biggest albums last year, Spanish-speaking albums, and we're seeing more of a, like, less of a reliance on, albums have to be in English. I mean, Rosalia's was in fucking 13 different...
I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, loads of different languages. So I think that's great for music in general, but I'm not going to sit down and put Bad Bunny on anytime soon.
I did, and let me tell you, it's not for me.
Yeah.
But cool guy, we like him. The show is amazing. At 4, Oklo with Choke Enough.
Oh, okay, Lou.
Okay, Lou.
Yeah.
My pronunciation today has been a disaster, Liam.
No, but it's a weird, it's an unusual name. I only really came to this when it was like end of year, and it popped up on a lot of end of year lists.
That's right.
And I listened to it a few times, and not for me, not those
100%, yeah, same thing actually. At number 3, here he is. It's Cameron Winter with Heavy Metal, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, because it was actually released in 2024.
December, wasn't it?
So it kind of, a lot of end of year lists this year weren't putting it on.
That's right.
Because I was last year, but it was a bit too late last year. So, I mean, yeah, fair enough. And actually almost kind of makes up for the low Geese thing, maybe.
It does, actually. I think there's Cameron Winter heads and there is Getting Killed heads.
Yeah, I'll give you that one, Pitchfork, okay?
You win this time. At 2, it's Dijon with Baby.
Yeah, listen to it. I've not gone back to it.
Yeah.
Not for me.
Not for you?
But
I liked it. I thought it was a bit of fun. It's like Frank Ocean if he was on different drugs.
Yeah, it's one, again, I appreciate what you're doing, but I wasn't enamored with it, but that was a personal thing rather than any sort of artistic. I didn't think it was. I understand that it's good.
Understand that it's good. At number 1, I don't know about you, Liam, but when I think of 2025 and its cultural impact, I think of this album, which I can't pronounce. It's Los Tutanaka by Los Tutanaka.
So I had heard it, and I had heard it before they put this as number 1. Because it was being spoken about a lot. And in fact, it's another high-ranking current for this year already. They've had another release, or one of them has. And it's pretty intense. Pitchfork, this is the second year in a row that their number 1 has been an album not on streaming services. And so I feel like that was a big factor in it.
Yeah, right.
It's like, this is so cool that you can't even listen to it. So the year before their number 1 was Cindy Lee, Diamond Jubilee, which is an album I do absolutely love, and that was on YouTube only. And this, I think, is also YouTube only. So I didn't. It's not for me, and I'm not. Yeah, not those guys for me on that one.
It was a difficult list. It was a really difficult list. Moments of joy, but fucking hell, it was hard work, wasn't it? Liam, this has been class, mate. I've really appreciated you doing this. I've really enjoyed getting to chat with you and get a making of the man. This is your chance to plug, promote, tell the people anything you got going on in your world. The floor is yours.
I have nothing really to promote at the moment.
This has been this.
I mean, if you have any listeners in Adelaide, Australia, I am taking my my last show there in a couple of weeks for the Adelaide Comedy Festival. And then I'm doing that same show one more time at Machynlleth Comedy Festival in Wales. I will tell you this. We have filmed the show and it is being released on 800 Gorilla's YouTube channel in a few months. So watch out for that. The best way to find out any of this is just to follow me on Instagram, where I post album of the week videos in which I share my favourite album of the last week when I have time to do it, which has not been in a few weeks. But I imagine if you listen to this podcast, you are ahead. And if you are ahead, then you will enjoy the album of the weeks that I do. So get me on Instagram at Liam Withnail.
Thank you, Liam. I've been William Hann. He's been Liam Withnail. They've been Geese. And this has been this album. Come on, get in there. Great.